Realtist Real Talk Podcast.
Hello, Realtist. I am Amber Lewis.
And I'm Rob Pastor.
And we are excited today because we have our very own president, Madam Lydia Pope, with us.
Welcome.
My pleasure.
Yes, this might be our third or maybe fourth time doing the podcast. We need to get Madam Lydia.
Absolutely. Busy lady. Busy lady.
Excited.
Here at Midwinter in beautiful San Diego. Hoping that the weather was a little bit better for us, but it was so beautiful because we're amongst family, right?
Yes. We want to keep everyone inside.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. So, Midwinter, your last Midwinter as president.
Yes.
How does that feel right now?
You know, it's been awesome. You know, this is the first time, like I said, in NAREB history that we chartered more boards and was able to identify 5 more boards at our membership meeting. So I'm very excited. I think the energy and the synergy with this particular Midwinter Conference was just on fire. Yeah, it was raining a little bit here in California, even though they said it never rains in California. It actually did. But what that did is it brought everyone together, because now you couldn't leave the property, but we got some great, awesome workshops that are going on, the 5 Pillars.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a wonderful conference. It's very exciting, very energetic.
Oh my God. So speaking of the 5 pillars, let's talk a little bit about those. Obviously, your brainchild coming into your presidency. Let's talk more about that.
So, you know, 5 pillars during the presidency, and it was a really good, I love it, was a team effort.
Okay.
You know, the vice presidents and I said, you know, we want to do something a little bit different, put a little structure to what's been going on for 75 years. So everything we're doing is not new, but what we've done is we've added new programs to the stability of this organization. You know, the 5 pillars, one beginning with our faith-based and community engagement. We just got out of a great meeting with Bishop Worsham, who's overseeing that, but our vice presidents are the oversight of all the committees. So Courtney Jones handles that pillar, and what they provided is so many events. We have some great events coming up the next 6 months, so overwhelming with just so many members are excited about this pillar. That's with our faith-based and our community engagement. With our pillar that we have with the WIRE, the Women Investing in Real Estate, our Courtney Johnson Rose, who was eventually at the time oversight, but now, you know, that's turned over to the convention. Actually, we have a committee chair that's working with that in regards to our WIRE, and they'll be putting out today at the conference our new WIRE report. And what we find out is with the WIRE, it's about the data and the statistics, like what's really happening with Black women when it comes to housing, when it comes to loans, education. So that WIRE report will be put out today for the second time. We put it out in San Antonio last year. So we're very excited about that. And the third one is our D&I, our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Danny Felton, who's our second vice president, that's his oversight. He has a double work. So his double duty is also that and generational wealth. And his information was so dynamic. He puts on the plays at the HBCUs. He worked with a lot of the college students as it pertains to just having careers in real estate. And for our members, putting on the education and what it takes to keep your businesses intact. What about that SBE loan? What about getting better about your certifications on DBEs, MBEs, WBEs, and then just other certifications that are available through NAREB that he's really been working hard to put together for our members. And then our last pillar is a government relations. So that's our biggest one, because government relations, and that's held by our first vice president, Ashley Thomas III. Now, that particular pillar, government relations, has its own separate pillar. However, it still covers all the other 4 pillars because the data that is being used in that government relation is very useful for all the pillars. Case in point, we have our Sheba report. So part of our government relations pillars, the Sheba report, that's been around since 2013, but we've been really making a bigger space for this whole space talking about the data. What we found out is that there's so much data involved with Black home ownership, from the rates to the businesses, that we put out our Sheba report. Our report was one of the first reports out of all the trade groups around the country, and there's 4 trade groups. You have the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is us. You have ARIA, and you have NAREB, and then you also have the Alliance as well. NAR is more so the covering, but the 4 trade groups are ethnic groups, and we were the first to put out the Sheba report that many years ago. And all the data that we talk about, all the challenges that are there in 2013 are still here today. So that Sheba report is our big platform, and we did something unique through the history of this organization versus having the Sheba report at our CDC. We've made a decision to have what we call our own Black Summit. Our first one was in Houston at Texas Southern, and then our second one was DC, right at Howard University. So our goal for this Black Summit is to release our State of Housing Black America report, and then the second part of that is to tie in Danny Felton's pillars on DEI and generational wealth, where he speaks to the Black students in regards to the careers in real estate. So it covers a couple of pillars. The second part that government relations have been focusing on is our policies. Now, we know there's been 4 policies throughout the history, throughout this administration. However, we're minimizing that into 1 or 2 more policies. Things have changed. Our policy positions are changing as, of course, the seasons change. So our Vice President at our National Annual Conference will be putting out the updated policies that NAREB will be supporting through this next administration. So we have some really great things these pillars are doing. And at this conference, each and every one of them are doing their pillars. One of them is all red. The Vice President Thomas, right now, this instant, it's our real estate escalation process. We understand that sometimes there's discrimination in housing. So we have an actual committee that handles any type of challenges when it comes to housing, loan level pricing, any type of discriminations. Our goal is to make sure the fair housing issues, that we have a team that's dedicated to focusing on that, to address those challenges and put solutions with them. So right now, at this point, he's really at the seminar right now talking about the red escalation and some of the stories that have happened and the solutions that have happened. So we're very excited about our pillars.
Wow, it seems like a lot to manage, Madam President, but you make it look easy. You make it look very easy. How do you do it?
Well, the good thing about our pillars is that we have our Vice President's oversight. You know, when they do their pillars, they have passion into these pillars. Just fits what they're doing. And it makes it easy because what it does for each one of us is that we're not one person's carrying the load. We have a team effort. And these pillars were designed to remain as a standing process for this organization. See, the pillars won't change, but programs change. So the thing is, what program fits under that pillar during that season? That way, no matter what president comes into office, the pillars will remain a stable part of this organization, that we can say we have a stable part. Now, what's happening in 2024? What's going on in 2025? Maybe it's not homeownership. Maybe it may go back into foreclosure. So then how do we address those challenges? What happens with policy? A lot of the changes have happened, and they're constantly changing, you know, with the loan level pricing, the interest rates. How are we dealing with that? So again, those programs would change, but the pillars will remain the same. And the Vice President's oversight of those pillars are really a great way for them to really take hold of what they're doing and really put some action and some meat into it.
I love that. You know, I'm excited because we're going to have Madam Courtney Rose here to talk about WIRE. And I think you brought up a great point around the Sheba report. We also had past President Julius Cartwright here to talk about Sheba and the process. But there is a linkage, I think, going back to what you said, between Sheba and WIRE. Because what we know, going back to the data, is when Sheba was shared, the subset of the Black home ownership numbers, a large portion, or the largest portion, is actually Black women. That's actually catapulting that and holding it up. So I'm super excited to be able to have that conversation and see where that takes us for the future as well.
And I think it's a really good link because Sheba, you know, as we know, it started in 2013, but it actually started underneath the past President Maria Kong, second woman president. She brought the idea to the State of Housing in Black America. Julius Cartwright came right behind her and took that information and made it a visionary, a visible. So for the first time, in 2014, President Cartwright had our first Sheba layout in writing at, believe it or not, at Texas Southern, where we first started, where I first started the Black Summit, was a basis office where he first started the Sheba report at an HBCU. So the history goes back. You know, where he started is where we now renamed it to the Black Summit. So that's a great history. And then WIRE, the women, the data in our Sheba report talks about the women. So we just extracted the women part of that Sheba report and put it into our WIRE
That's
report.
great. And that makes sense.
Wow. So there's nothing new underneath the sun. You know, that's a saying that I truly believe, and that's something that even Cartwright, he hinted towards yesterday, saying that we've been around for 75 years. We have a lot of new blood coming in that have ideas, but a lot of these ideas we've already done. So, I mean, we're in the present, we have our past. Where do you see the future? What's the future for NAREB from your perspective?
Well, I see the future as our new generation is still tapping into that history, just like I did during this presidency, taking the 75 years of what we've done and looking at that data, looking at that information and pulling it out to create just more of a fresher, newer look that basically it works with our millennials, our zennials, and all of our future leaders. But we have to continue on with this legacy, and the only way to do that is looking into our past, seeing what we've done, not to renew some, not to say renew it, but not to put into a situation where you're starting over, but to take the information and create something and let that just bloom. Because every 75 years we've hit every type of market, from fair housing to redlining, to dealing with the issues of systematic racism, to appraisal biases, to loan level pricing, to discriminative issues when it comes to housing, when it comes to blacks, when it comes to women. So everything of 75 years have already been touched. Now, what are we going to do with that? Is it that season for that? Is it a season for something else? So this new generation coming in, new leadership taking over, we're kind of going to do a dig deep into our history, pull it out to bring it back up, because now it's a season for that.
I love that. I mean, speaking of seasons, when we count the months, we have about 5 more months into your presidency, going into your final national. What is your goal over the next 5 months as you look into the future, you look into the future of the organization, and maybe even the future for yourself?
So for NAREB, I mean, I think our goal is as I move out of the presidency and we have my sister, Courtney Johnson Rose, the goal is to make sure that the transfer of information and the NAREB culture and our history continues. See, for me, I wrap my arms around my president-elect, because it's so important as she goes in that the process is a smooth process, that no matter who's the president, the information remains stable, so that we don't lose a piece of where we started and have to think and start over. Now, she's going to bring some great ideas and some great programs to this organization come August, but the sustainability of those 5 pillars was our whole entire purpose. It just makes the transition so much smoother, and it allows us as an organization to continue, not pick up where we left off, but continue what we're doing, and we're just elevating this to a higher level. So I think transition will be great. And for me, as when I become a past president, that the goal is to still continue to serve this organization. I went back and I was looking at all the years I've served, and I served a total of 16 years of leadership uninterrupted. And so it's my time to push back, let the new ones come in, let the new leadership come in, let them take over. And my job is to be more of a mentor to them, woman with wisdom who's been down this line from Women's Council past president to NAREB's past president. It's really what bring the continuity together. So I'll be there to give advice, to be there to bring information to everyone, and kind of sit back and let these young folks come in and do what they do. If we noticed during this conference, we've had quite a bit of energy around the coaching and around the workshops. That's because we let our young folks come in and just take over this whole new generation. I was once that age, and we were riots in the conferences. So I understand we were really riots. And we were so important that we let our seniors know, hey, listen, it's our time now. step out of the way. Let us bring the people in. That was that generation. Now it's time for our new generation to do the same thing. So my step back is to let our leadership step in and to allow this to make a different change in the organization, to kind of keep his thrill and his thrust and his energy going.
Absolutely. It sounds like the future is bright.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it because
Yeah.
my first midwinter, my first national event was in 2019 in Miami, and it was a good event, but it wasn't like this, and it wasn't as many as far as my generation is concerned. It wasn't that many of us here, but to see how it's grown in this time is a beautiful thing, and I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, we and us as a generation, we have to step back, but we also have to remember, as what the first gentleman stated, is not to just step back, but don't forget about the generation who brought you to the table. That's so important, because in order to have generational wealth, it starts from someone of a previous generation to continue the generation. So don't forget about our past presidents. Don't forget about those who bring wisdom. Continue to just continue to marinate with them, talk with them, speak to them, get the information from them, the history, because they are the ones who brought us here today. I promise you, if it wasn't for them, there will be no us. We weren't around at redlining. We weren't around stepping in the streets of Congress and DC, fighting for discrimination, fighting for FHA, fighting for how. We didn't do that. None of us did that. They did it. So we cannot forget the history of why they brought. There will be no FHA and the guidelines if it wasn't for our past president. They stepped into the White House demanding what they wanted and got it. They stepped into FHFA. They stepped into HUD and all of our GSEs. And so we didn't do that. We were just the beneficiaries of what has happened. So we cannot exclude them from our history. Yes, we're gonna step back, but don't forget that we are the ones who put our new generation to where they're at. Now it's up to this new generation to heighten it up to another level, because new policies have changed, new challenges have happened, so they need to come in and kind of pick that up and take that to a higher level.
Absolutely.
I think that's perfect. I'm thinking in closing, we do have new members. We might have someone watching today that's on the fence of maybe joining one of their local chapters. What would be your call to action for that person?
So to the new members, or those that are not even a member of NAREB, if you are a minority and you're into real estate, it's so important that you become a part of a Black real estate trade organization such as NAREB, who understands the culture, the fight, the thrust that we bring in this organization. Yes, there's nothing wrong with joining other organizations, but to better understand who we are and what we do, the fight for democracy and housing, the advocacy that we put together to protect all Black Americans so that they can own a home. You know, all of us, like me, I'm a Black woman. Have we ever discriminated? Have we ever had challenges that we discrimination? I'm sure each one of us that are minority real estate agents or brokers or lenders or title, anyone in the industry, have maybe seen some sort of that. That's why it's important to join an advocacy group such as us that really understands the fight, and to be a part of that, and to get the great education that we're getting to be able to service one another and to be able to increase our business line. So if you're not a member, or if you want to be a member, or if you're a new member, come and join us. Our national is going to be in Houston. It's going to be phenomenal. It will be sold out. So I implore you all to look on the website, check it out, be a part of this great conference that we have with thousands of minority agents that you can build businesses and make money, but you got to be there in person. Virtual is not going to help you. Being in your local board and attending the meetings is not going to help you. You need to come to a national and see what it's about.
I heard that. That's a
That's my call to action.
That's a mic drop. That's you heard it first. You know, the source. So be there or be square, get with it or get left.
Yes.
Yes,
Love
indeed. Well, we appreciate you.
We do. Thank you.
We appreciate your leadership. You're so majestic with your power. You represent your strength without effort, and how you just you make the path. You make the path, and looking back at our past.
Thank you.
And moving forward, it's Sankofa. We learn from the past to move forward. And we just appreciate you opening the doors that you've opened, creating the opportunities that you have, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Indeed. Thank you.